Hold on, everybody. Just getting set up here. Let's see. Trying to get Mike in here real quick. Okay, here we go. Maybe.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How's it going?
Oh, thought Instagram wasn't going to cooperate for a second there.
Yeah. I've never done one of these, so can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Loud and clear.
All right. Nice.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. I'm your host, Ryan, and today our guest is Mike McKenzie, formerly of Red Chord, currently of, how many bands is it now? Like,
I don't know. I'd have to open my spreadsheet.
Well,
A few, yeah.
yeah.
Some active, some semi-active.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on the follow-up for Stomach Earth, man.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How's your weekend going?
It's been busy.
Yeah.
Packing everything up into the minute as I tend to do. So, how about yourself?
Can't complain. Getting out the Christmas decorations already.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I just bought food for Thanksgiving, but I haven't thought about Christmas yet.
Well, I'm in the habit whenever I'm putting up the Halloween decorations, it's like I'm not going to take the time here in like a couple of weeks to, drudge more boxes back out. So I figure,
Yeah.
get it all in one shot, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a good excuse to be lazy, I guess.
Yeah, I will say I did grab one Christmas gift already a couple of weeks ago, just because it worked out, and I thought one of those random moments where I thought ahead, which is very rare. So I was very proud of myself that I got ahead of it, at least with one gift.
Right. I got a couple. I mainly just try to worry about, like my wife and kids, and then she kind of handles everybody else.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Team effort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, man, I know it's kind of funny to talk like live rigs and stuff like that, considering most people are maybe at best just now getting back out on the road.
Yeah.
First off, do you have any tour plans in the works with anybody right now? Wear Your Wounds or whoever?
Nothing really at the moment. I have we just did some dates with Sexless Marriage, one of the bands I'm in. We did just a little weekend thing. We'd never played a show before, so we went out and did New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and I play bass in that band. So I don't actually own any bass gear. I have basses, but I don't have any bass gear. So I borrowed. We used a bunch of the band Edict, who we were out with. We used a bunch of their stuff, and I used a quilter, which was really fun to play through. And I used a dark glass pedal that our guitar player, who is normally a bass player. We have two guitar players who are normally bass players, and me, who is normally a guitar player on bass. So they had so I used his dark glass and the quilter, and it sounded really growly and nice. And and that's my current bass rig. I don't know. I guess I would probably, if I was gonna get serious about having bass gear, I'd buy an old V4 like Greg has, because those things sound pretty mean. But yeah, nothing on the calendar yet. Everything's been kind of in flux, but I'm sure we're gonna line some stuff up next year. I know Sexless Marriage is gonna play more shows. I would like to do more Stomach Earth stuff. Some more shows in the States. It's just been a matter of, I'd like to finish that record. So,
right.
But everything else, yeah, we talked about, we had Where You Once shows booked, and then everything happened. And we haven't quite picked up where we left off yet, just because of, where everybody ended up being. Our drummer Chris is playing for Sleigh Bells again, and Converge has a bunch of stuff, and I know Caven has a bunch of stuff. We're just kind of, we'll reconvene at some point and figure out whenever that'll be.
For Where Your Wounds are you kind of sticking with sort of your normal, like your go-to setup's kind of always been like 5150 or equivalent, right? And then like Orange Cab and the ESP Eclipse, right?
Yeah, and actually, I realized it doesn't work for Where You Wounds. I did play in the beginning with them. The first tour we did dates in. We did a show in Massachusetts, and we did some shows in Europe. And I think I played some variation of a 5150 and Marshall cabs. And the 5150 is perfect for Red Chord. It's perfect for fast, chunky stuff. But it's so noisy that it doesn't really get those big sustains when you're playing like really slow stuff. And I ended up playing a JCM 800 at practice that was someone else's. And I was like, my whole life I've never really clicked with Marshall heads until now. And like now I'm like, oh, I get it. It's taken me like 30 years of playing guitar, but I get it. Marshall rules, and now ideally I'd like to play a Marshall with Where Your Wounds, but I gotta get one first. So the last tour we did, I played through some weird Mesa that I wasn't familiar with, that had like a twangy kind of feel to it. I forget what it was actually. It was a combo.
Maybe a Lone Star?
Yes, it was a Lone Star. Yep. And it was an awesome amp. It was tough for me to work with. It wasn't really my style, I guess, but it was a loner. And I think I'd probably want to play maybe a Marshall in that band, just for those like slow, long, gloomy parts. And I like the clean tones on the clean tone. I mean, I use a lot of clean stuff, and the clean tones on the 5150 are just the worst.
I say the EVH one is a lot better for the cleans, but yeah, like you said, the gain structure may not fit that kind of music too.
I see. I'm just looking at a question. Do you have a 51 for Stomach Earth? I think I did. Yeah, I think I used. Oh, you know what? When we last played in Holland, I used a 5150 and a Marshall together. So they worked really well together. They were almost perfect together for the chunky and the sustain. I'm not sure what I would do with Stomach Earth, honestly. I don't know yet. I did a 5150 with Stomach Earth when we played in the States a couple times, but I was still figuring it out then. So,
I mean, it worked. I thought that album sounds killer. That was the my introduction to Bandcamp. It was the first thing I think I ever bought off of Bandcamp.
Oh, nice. Thank you. It's funny, though. I didn't use a 5150 on the album. On the album, I used the album is a direct tone. This is a funny thing to say. It's a direct tone from a Boss 8-track that had guitar sounds built in, like
Okay.
little, and it's like, you know, a digital.
Huh.
It's digital tones that I ran into my my interface and mixed in. I mixed that in Nuendo, I think, but
Wow.
it was like a fuzzy, you know, built-in guitar effect tone. You know,
That's so awesome. A lot of people get really hung up on like whatever the source is for that they're recording with, but there are so many people that have had such killer recordings. Like once you throw it into a mix and you EQ it and you do all the little studio magic to it, it becomes kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
You know what it was. You could be using like a pod or something. And
yeah, totally. And I you know, I used to like feel weird about that kind of thing, but I've had a lot of great luck over the years with direct tones in recording, at least. And obviously these days people go direct and reamp and all kinds. You can do everything now, you know. And all the amp sims now are amazing. So it's like you can do anything you want now. It's like it's almost like an excuse now to do it.
Right. I think I pretty much have. Well, whenever I was in an actual band that gigged and we all were able to like kind of pool our money, and then, you know, we recorded live room and did it real old school that way.
Yeah.
But ever since I've you know, had kids and stuff, and I've just been writing stuff at home, I've done nothing but digital stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's like the Positive Grid stuff, or now I've got like one of the Line 6 HX Stomp.
Oh yeah.
Like the Helix stuff, just in the pedal form. I mean, it's killer. I think I actually like sounds better than the last time I got to record a real amp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been using the amped Roots. What's that company called? ML Audio or something like that. I forget the name. Actually, I have the window open. ML Sound Lab. I've been using that Roots, like not the 5150, but the one that's like it, and it's amazing. It feels like it's got like the attack of that amp. It's crazy to plug into my computer and have the feel of that, you know, because like my favorite thing about the 5150 is that like palm heavy attack that it has, you know, that like low whooshy sound, and it's noisy as hell, but it's I mean, it's great for fast stuff for sure. You get a lot of clarity, at least in my opinion.
I mean, it's as popular as it is for a reason, you know. And it's funny, going back to like that HX Stomp, I was you know, showing a buddy of mine just some different amp models in it and letting him hear it, because I run it through like a power amp and cab. Yeah. And I was just kind of showing him some, you know, like an 800, a dual rec, and then a 5150. Yeah. And I always, maybe because I had so many friends that all they had were either 5150s or a similar like James Brown PV kind of thing. So I tried to avoid it like the plague. Yeah. For so long. But every time I do plug into either somebody else's or like a sim or something like that, I'm like, man, that sounds really fucking good. Yeah. And I don't have to do much of anything to it. It just sounds good straight up. And I don't know. It's like,
you can't make it sound bad.
No, you really can't.
Yeah.
You just set everything like just neutral, like set everything at 6 at noon or whatever, and it's, you know, it's like you're good. Yeah. But okay. What about any pedals or anything? Where are your wounds? It feels like have a lot more room for ambient sounds than maybe like Red Chord or something.
Yeah, so I've like throughout my life I've been very anti-pedal. I've always been, I like pedals, I like playing with them, but especially with Red Chord or really just playing live shows, I try to avoid any more. I've tried to avoid anything else that can go wrong. So as few moving parts as possible. So with Red Chord, I was always, you know, tuner, noise suppressor. That's it. No overdrive or anything. Just the gain of the amp, and you know, make that work. At one point, I think 2004, I think I bought a delay pedal and lent it to someone who didn't give it back to me, and I was just like, well, I guess I'm not using a delay pedal. And then he gave me money. He gave me money for it years later. But with Where Your Wounds, there's obviously a lot more room for that, and Adam is very just a pedal master. Cave-In uses a lot of cool effects and, you know, ambient sounds, and Adam just has like this mothership of controls that he has, you know, and I'm just like, it's funny because we would, you know, when we first set up, I'm just like, well, I'm plugging in, and now I feel like there's more I could be doing. And I have really slowly started dipping my toe in the water. I have a delay pedal, which is that MXR, what's it called? I'm going to look it up real quick.
Carbon copy, maybe?
Carbon copy, yeah. Sean gave me his extra carbon copy. So he's also kind of non-pedal guy as well. So we got two non-pedal guys and a heavy pedal guy. But he was using that, he had an extra one, so he gave me his. And so I basically, now it's, I usually don't hook up a noise suppressor in that band. I don't really need to do that. I just, mute with the tuner. But it was hard to get rid of my noise suppressor too, because it was kind of like a security blanket. But
yeah.
But in that band, it's the delay, and I would like to experiment with some more stuff. I really want to grab one of these. Sourcia Audio makes that Ventress pedal that's delay reverb, and I've played around with that. We used a little of that on the record, the last Where Your Wounds record, and I gotta own one of those, and I gotta try to work that into live stuff. Right. So I'm getting a little bit more comfortable using pedals. There was this tour with Red Chord. Well, I did it a few times, but one in particular, I was when we first switched to a 4-piece. I wanted to do leads. I wanted to do harmonized parts. I wanted to be able to play as much of the second guitar as I could. So I had 3 amps, 3 5150 or 6505s, an AB switch that went to 2 of them, and then, or it was an ABY switch. There was a 3rd channel going to, I think that's how I had it routed. Plug my phone in a second. Third channel was going to a Kai head rush.
Oh yeah,
that loop pedal they have. It only has like 16 seconds of time that you can loop something, but it was enough to do little parts. So I had that loop to the 3rd amp that stayed. My phone's going to be a little asshole. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me grab my charger.
Sure. Hey, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to submit them down below. We'll get to them here as soon as we can.
I didn't realize it was going to drain the battery that fast. I had the third one was off all the time, and it would just come on when the head rush would go on, so I could do little harmonies and stuff. And it worked, except it was a lot more pieces of a puzzle. And there was this one day I had to fly home for this wedding, and then I flew back, and my flight was late. So one of the Guar guys set my rig up on stage. I was literally like taking a cab from the airport to the why does my phone keep going dark? Literally going like from the airport right to the stage, and they're like, "Where are you, almost here?" And I'm like, "I'm in the cab. They're going as fast as they can," or And so he set my rig up, and I got on stage, and I was like, "Oh, this is totally wrong. You know, they were busting my balls on that tour, calling me the Edge and Frankenstacks and all kinds of stuff because it was an absurd setup.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it sounds cool.
it was fun. It was fun when it worked, and then other times it was like a little bit difficult. But yeah, so I've been like, I've had a hard time with there we go. Is that working? My phone won't charge. Why is my phone doing this? I've had a hard time with pedals, is what I'm saying.
I can understand.
Yeah.
We've all been there. I had a show where battery died in my guitar because I had EMGs. Mm-hmm. Tubes were going out in my amp, and the backup guitar that me and the other guitarist shared, it was his. I didn't realize one of the tuning pegs was messed up.
Oh.
And like you could just sit there and spin it.
Yeah.
So when I went to go tune it, I was like, "What on earth?" And my tuner said it was in G or whatever note it was supposed to be. I guess it'd be F because we were a whole step down. But the tuner said it was in tune, but apparently it was like an octave down. So whenever we went to go do guitar harmonies,
yeah.
I had one of the strings was a whole octave lower than what it was supposed to be.
Flopping around.
Yeah. So it was like the only thing missing is something going on fire. Like. Oh
yeah. Oh, I see a question about the Akai. I did pre-record. I wouldn't pre-record the riffs. I'd play them in the moment. That was what I'd do. I'd play the part, and it would have to be a part that I could play before that, and then I would loop it, and I'd have to time it so that I could harmonize with it. We did it with a couple songs that worked. It worked with Send the Death Storm because I played the part, and then there's a harmony right after of the same part, so it would work. Hold on one second. Let me just I'm gonna just try to do something with my phone. Sorry.
Right.
Hold on. Okay, I turned off low power mode. Hopefully it'll stop being ridiculous.
Okay. Let's see. The Akai Head Rush. Did Kerpaloo by chance turn you on to that one, or do you already know? I just know that he's a huge fan of using that looper.
Oh yeah, it wasn't him directly. I'm not sure if it was Nate Newton actually me that pedal. So maybe he told him about that, and he told me, so it might have been indirect. Yeah. But yeah, Nate lent me that, and I still have it to this day.
Those things always look so cool, but or at least the ones I've seen, maybe they got different versions, but the ones I see are always just take up so much room on your board.
Mm-hmm. It's large. It's like a big. It's like it's the first one too. I know they made a second one that has like longer loop time.
Oh, okay.
I have the older one.
Those TC Electronic, the Ditto ones, those are really sick.
Oh yeah, I've looked into them a little. I do want to like dip my toe back in that direction. I would like to do more looping, and I'm sure by now the technology is way further along.
Some of them get really, really elaborate, which I liked. The one I had was like the little mini stomp one. Mm-hmm. And it was just a single knob for your level control, and everything else was just a single button. Just, dumb simple, which, you're probably like me, the simpler, the better.
Oh yeah. Especially in the moment when you're trying to like play the riff and think about the timing and all that, and like nail that part, hit the button while you're playing the riff, and then hope that it all works out so that everybody doesn't hear your big mistake that plays again and again. That's the funniest thing about loop pedals and delay pedals. It's like there's that mistake again. There it is again. There it is again.
Or like if you just get the timing just slightly off,
yeah,
it is impossible to play along to it. It just continues to throw you off.
Yeah. What thickness do I prefer? 8.5. These guys. Would I be in a band called Fart Part? Of course I would, man.
Hey, I think somebody earlier asked if you ever played a Bogner Uberschall.
I haven't. I've never played a Bogner at all. I've always wanted to try one out. But yeah, they sound great when other people play them.
Yeah, they seem like the vibe I get is really fancy high gain Marshall kind of thing. Like, but I think I'm just basing that off the fact that I know Reinhold Bogner is just he was one of those guys in the 80s that got started modifying Marshalls, so I just always assume it's just a continuation from that for some reason.
Oh yeah.
But let me see here. Well, kind of talked about some of the gear you've been playing with for different projects. What's kind of like your inspiration for tone whenever you're trying to decide for some of your different acts?
Well, it really ends up just being, what I want to hear. I have a love-hate relationship with guitar tone, like I think most guitar players. In the last couple of years, I've been very on and off, very slowly mixing the most recent Beyond the Six Seal record that is way overdue. And like we recorded it in 2018, like it's just languishing on my hard drive. And part of the problem is I'm just like, I hate every guitar tone. I hate every tone. None of the tones are I like a bit of saturation. I like a good saturated. When it comes to like heavy guitars, I want there to be like I want it to sound juicy, like a nice chunky. I don't really, I really just kind of think about, how it relates to the music. So
Sure.
If there's a lot of ringing out, I want that tone to sound big and open. If it's fast, it needs to sound clear. Red Chord has always been a hassle for guitar tones because I've really changed my mind all the time. Live, the 5150 with Red Chord makes sense. It always has worked, so I've never changed that. But in the studio, it's like anything goes. Who knows? Like these days, I feel like, I don't know, playing fast stuff, I change my mind all the time. So I have the amped plugins, the ML SoundLab, probably the first tone I've played in a while that I've recorded with, where I've thought, oh, this is pretty close to what I want. It feels like that amp feels like, or that amp sim feels like the 5150, as if you mic'd it from inside its guts.
Yeah.
It's like you got in its brain and recorded what it's projecting to us without any outside interference. It feels like that's what's coming out. What the 5150 is coming out of your monitor speakers, rather than the sound of the 5150 mic'd coming out of your monitor speakers.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and obviously I think the 5150 is a hard amp to capture in the studio. I think you can make it sound a lot of different ways, but I think it's hard to make it sound like it does in a room, in my opinion. And I feel like that plug-in is just, and it's not even expensive. It's like $50 or something. Like, I do feel like they captured it. But yeah, that's, like I said, I can't make up my mind ever. I'm all over the place. I feel like for the next fast thing, I would probably want to record it with like if I wasn't doing it direct, I'd want to use like the Mark V. I really love the clarity and the chunkiness of that amp. But yeah, I let me look at my text because I just asked him what. Hold on one second. Stello HMW. That's the amp that we used on the Umber Vitae record.
Okay.
I recorded it at my house and then we reamped through that. And I really liked that amp and I would like to play live through it. I think I'd probably play differently. But that tone I was really happy with.
They just kind of came on my radar recently. Just a random follower on our page.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he, favors one and shows a lot of pictures and videos of it.
Yeah.
And Spencer from Full of Hell, I know he really digs those.
Yeah.
Mixed with like orange and stuff, of course, like always. But
yeah.
I need to look a little bit more into them. Other than just cell phone clips on Instagram, I haven't really. Well, I guess if you recorded with it, I guess I have heard it now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it had a nice bite to it. It felt, clear but a little dirty, and I think we had it running through an Emperor cab, and I don't remember what the speakers in there were, but
yeah,
I think it was a 612 that he had.
Who recorded that album, by the way? Was it Kurt or?
Kurt recorded the drums and the vocals, and I recorded the guitars, and then we reamped in Kurt's studio. So it was done kind of piecemeal.
Okay.
Yeah, only drums and vocals were recorded there. Bass and guitar were done at my place, and then I think that's all. Yeah. Oh, we did a couple other like overdubs and stuff at his studio.
Is it It really does. I was just playing it for my wife like within the past week or something because she had never heard that album.
Yeah.
And it really dawned on me. You can really, really hear the influences from all of you guys just kind of mixing and mingling together in that. It's actually pretty impressive, like musically and even tone-wise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely does feel like a bunch of us. There's some very, very Sean moments. There's some very Greg moments. There's definitely feels like, it was a lot of fun to work on it. And I really look forward to doing another one and hopefully playing shows at some point. We had that in mind, obviously, and then, Yeah.
What sparked that whole project?
It was two different moments, really. Initially, Chris Maggio and I were jamming on some noisy stuff on a Wear Your Wounds tour, and we started talking about doing something heavy, and we were just sort of like putting a band together, sort of in a lackadaisical kind of way, that'd be fun to do. And then Sean and Jake apparently had been talking years before about doing something heavy together, and it just sort of conversations just sort of turned it into a real thing. And pretty soon we were like, hey, I got some ideas for it. Oh yeah, I got some ideas for it. And then we were emailing each other stuff, and then Chris couldn't do it because he was doing High on Fire, and we were trying to he was doing a tour, and we were trying to lock in a time frame. So we asked John to play drums on it, and he was available, and then it became that, and it became that band.
Awesome.
Yeah, just kind of sort of fell together. So
yeah,
but I'm really happy we're doing it because I haven't made enough heavy records in recent times, and I want to rectify that.
I mean, you can never have enough. It's I liked it just makes me think of this Devin Townsend interview before where he talks about like when you go out on tour with bands that you're friends with, there's always this, it's almost just like pillow talk. Guys start drinking, they're like, oh
Yeah.
man, we're gonna do this, we're
Yeah.
gonna get together and jam, and we're gonna have this kind of band, and we're gonna go
Yeah.
on tour. And
Yeah, you always do that. You always go like, oh man, we should do something together. Yeah. And the sentiment is really there. Everybody really wants to do it. But then, life happens and you never get around to it. And you're like, oh, that would have been cool. I remember years ago, I had this idea to make this solo record that had all these guests, and it would be like, it's like everyone I know is going to play a guitar solo on it. And I went around asking everyone, like, you want to play guitar solo on this thing? You want to do a thing on this thing? And everybody was like, yeah, that would be awesome. And then it just, of course, it never happened. It's like I was doing other stuff and they were doing other stuff, and I kind of forgot about it. And then later I was like, oh yeah, I was going to do that cool thing. Whatever. Someday we'll do something.
yeah,
You can't, like, I've wanted to do a project with Dave Whitty for years. And, we was talking, oh, we should do this or that. And, maybe someday we'll do something, but there's just all these, there's a lot of moving parts, it's hard to get everybody in. It's hard to get a band that exists in a room together, let alone, especially as we get older and people have kids and responsibilities, and it's even harder to get ourselves in one place. And then when we finally do, it's like, all right, we're really doing it. This is, so even when people are doing it full time, it's still like, it's just, so.
Prior commitments getting in the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me because I want to do everything. I want to do every project all the time. I say yes to everything. I'm trying not, I've given myself the resolution of not saying yes to every idea in the last year, because I can't keep up. I'm just like, I'm over, I said yes to everything. Now I can't do any of them,
Well, as long as you can say yes to enough of them to pay the bills, it's all that matters, right?
Yeah. As long as you can do the ones you want to do and continue to stay alive.
Exactly.
To do more of it.
Well, judging by a lot of the comments and messages that I've gotten since that I announced that I was going to have you on as a guest, it's fair to say there's a huge yearning Red Chord following out there. And as I remember, because I was a diehard fan back in the day, as a lot of us were, I kind of remember with the announcement, and from what I recall, it was kind of just, portrayed more as a hiatus than the band was done, which we know how that goes too. Have you and any of the guys, I know you still talk with Greg, of course. I assume you're still tight with Guy. Has there ever been any talks or interest in your all's camp about just maybe even just doing a tour or anything?
Yeah, I mean, over the years we've talked about stuff. Right after we stopped doing stuff, we were writing. Like around the time we stopped playing shows, we kind of came home from tour one day and didn't talk to each other. There was no we're gonna do this. It was just kind of like, all right, well, get dropped off at my house, and then, well, okay, see you later. And then radio silence for a while. I think we were very burnt out back in, I guess that was, at this point, that was 2011. And we were still writing stuff. So there were demos and stuff floating around. We were talking about stuff. And then we sort of took a breather without talking about it. And then things happened and we kind of moved on. We never, I think it's, people use all different kinds of language, and really it's just, semantics. But we stopped playing shows, and we didn't make any kind of a decision. We just And I always thought it was funny that people were like, oh, they're on hiatus, or they broke up, or they're this or that. I mean, you know, time passes in between when bands play shows and make records. But what defines hiatus? How much time does it really have to be before it's a hiatus? There's no rules. You know, like some bands, a band like Tool takes what, 13 years to put a record out. You know.
Yeah.
So I was always just kind of like, well, you know, there's no rules here. We can make another record when we did. I guess we set the precedent by being on tour a lot and being busy a lot. And that, you know, really just being out on the road all the time wasn't really working for us anymore. Just, you know, personally, just, it's, you know, you get burned out. And we, you know, over the years, we've kind of talked about things here and there. And, you know, the doors are not closed forever, but we are definitely in the, hey, we'll feel it out and see what happens. We got other stuff going on right now. I mean, Greg and I have a lot of other bands we're in right now, and a lot of other things we're trying to do. So like before we would be able to get to doing Red Chord stuff, there's like all this other stuff that needs to get done. Like let me just open up this spreadsheet because it's the only way I'm going to be able to tell you what. All right, so I have two spreadsheets with my release schedule, which is I'm totally behind on. The Knighted Throne stuff I have. Let's see, I got the two that came out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 releases that are in progress or complete that just need to be like have pieces, you know, be recorded or be mixed or something like that. And then 3 more projects that are, you know, embryonic. So there's a lot on the docket before we get to anything else. Now that doesn't mean that one of those things wouldn't, you know, any of those things couldn't be put on hold. Obviously some of them have been in the works for a long time. Like one of the things is re-releasing the Stomach Earth demo with like a re-recorded version of the demo songs from forever ago, from like at this point like 15 years ago or something like that. That not the top of the list priority, but it's gonna get done at some point. It's why I have this spreadsheet, because otherwise I couldn't answer the question if I didn't look at it, because I forget. I'm working on an ambient demo right now. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. That's the only thing I could tell you that I'm doing. Everything else, I'm like, oh, I better check the list. I don't remember. I have a grindcore thing called Piece of Shit Family that's in the process of coming together. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the door's not closed, but it's definitely in limbo, like it has been for a while. You know, and I know that people want to hear the thing that they like, whatever that is. But it might take a little while, you know. So there's definitely, like, you know, there's demos floating around there. I think some of them are old and suck now by my taste of 2021. But yeah, sorry, that's kind of a non-answer, but I don't really have a good answer for that. Also, it's not just me, you know. It's not, you know, there's other guys involved and they have their own things going on, and
sure,
you know.
Hey, I totally get it. I've loved just about every one of your projects that I've had the opportunity to check out.
Thank you.
I even have the Unraveler stuff.
Oh, nice. So that's on the list. I've got another one of those. I got 2 more releases lined up for that as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what? I guess kind of harking back to Devin again, because he's one of the only other people I can compare as far as you guys just have like a work ethic, as well as just seems like an ever-flowing stream of inspiration, and it's in different styles and sometimes different genres too. What where do you think that came from or started from?
Well, I'll start by saying thank you. That's a big compliment because Devin is a big inspiration to me as well. He's definitely in the short list of musicians that keep me motivated to keep moving forward, because I'm like, this guy just, he does all of his ideas. He churns out everything in his brain. He gets it out, and he really, he has a lot to give, and I do get very motivated reading about his process, because I'm sure he would say otherwise, but I look at his work ethic and I'm like, that's the work ethic I need to have. That guy's on top of it, and I beat myself up like most people, and say like, I don't work hard enough at this stuff. I should be up all night every night of my life finishing things, or else I'm whatever.
We all do.
Yeah, we all do that, and it's gonna happen when it's gonna happen, or it's not gonna happen. There's, you can't get too upset about it. But I do want to. I have a plan in motion right now to kind of facilitate some of these things so that I can actually finish them in a timely manner. And in my ideal scenario, I could release 6 releases a year and stay on top of that in that, keep it moving fashion. I wouldn't want to do more than 6 a year, because then I would feel like they would all kind of get in each other's way. 2 months each. Yeah. It would require a lot of staying up all night some nights, but yeah, I mean, my motivation to do that, other than other musicians that work too hard, are really just, it's just something that I have to do. Like I have, it's lame because it's lame to say it this way, because it's a little bit cliched, and there's really not another way to say it, but it's like a calling. It's like, this is the thing I have to do, and my brain knows to do it, and I'm supposed to do it, and I'm lucky that I know that that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm lucky that I haven't had to go. I have moments, of course, where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. I can't do anything. But I definitely have, for the majority of my life, have had the arrow pointing in that direction. It's like, since I was young, the arrow, that's the way to go. Who the hell knows how you're going to get there, but that's the direction, and you have to go that way. And if you don't go that way, you're going to be very unhappy. Right. So, yeah, that's really it. It's like a combination of therapy and need, and it's like eating and also going to therapy and also drinking water and breathing at the same time. It's like I have to do those things, or else I'm going to go nuts or die. So it sounds hyperbolic and silly, but that's the motivation, the internal crazy
Sure.
clock.
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate. I think anybody that does anything creative, I feel like, could relate, because people from the outside looking in, because you're probably like me and you watch like review channels and stuff like that on YouTube, and and everybody likes to critique and give opinions, and sometimes they take it from this almost like a business managerial perspective, like, oh, you won't appeal to a big enough audience with this, or just way too critical. And I feel like everybody should be pushing the envelope, but also appealing to everyone at the same time. And people forget, at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a form of self-expression. This is, things that it's all very deep and meaningful, that we're trying to put ourselves out there. We, can't really think about it in those other terms. Like that's a nice afterthought if it goes that way. Yeah. But you can't create anything worthwhile if you have those intentions. Yeah, you really can't. Even the idea of trying to appeal to everyone with something creative you make is a silly and fruitless task. You'll never do it. No one will ever make anything at all that everyone likes. It won't exist. Even when you say like, well, everybody likes fun,
Well, some people don't. Some people don't want to have fun. So if you're trying to make a fun record, some people hate that. You know, like some people are like, I do not like fun, or whatever it is. Even like you think you can find something universal, you cannot. The only thing universal is that we're made of carbon. Everything else is like we're different, and you know, and I think that's a good thing. Like I say this all the time, but I feel like, you know, creative people, particularly, especially musicians, especially people making like niche things, you know, like underground music, I think that we are beacons for weirdos to gather. Like the point of our work is to connect other people who are like each other. Because if I make something that is personal for me and is my thing that I love, and I'm really doing it in a genuine way, then other like-minded people will be drawn to that. Some reviewer is going to say, "This, I didn't get it. I don't like this record. It's bad." That's okay, because it wasn't ever for them in the first place. It was for the other people who connect with it. And those people, it's almost like it's always only going to connect with the people it's going to connect with, and those people will gather. And the thing I think is wonderful is, like, you know, people go to shows to see a band, they become friends with each other through that band. You know, that's why I think we're beacons for the weirdos. Our whole point is to like draw all the like-minded people to one place so they can gather and meet each other, and then they can form bands and then do the same thing exponentially so that we're all like connected, which I feel like underground music does very well, especially you know, metal and hardcore. And the weirder it is, the more, you know, the more like focused that weird point is, the more people will connect with each other through that work. And I think for that reason, like, you just have to do your own thing. Who cares what the reviews say? The reviews are helpful so that somebody can read it and go, oh, when I read a review, I usually am like, oh, well, what does this guy like normally? Well, he doesn't like this band, so I might not agree with him. Maybe I should check out the record anyway that he didn't like. You know, I still think reviews are worthwhile for that reason, but they're not. But ultimately they have nothing to do with the artistic process. They're just they're an external thing. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but I forget your original question. We were just talking about people making things for other people. You shouldn't make them for other people. Right. You make it for you, and then it will also be for other people naturally. You know, like, or maybe it won't. Maybe there's only one other guy who likes it. Maybe there's only one other person in the world that likes your weird record you made. But that one guy is like, fuck, I love that weird record. Nobody likes it, but I like it, and that's what matters, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about niche? I'm running a death metal gear page. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I probably won't be making, you know, big influencer money or numbers or nothing, but it's built up a really cool following just because I've only been doing this about a year now. Yep. And, you know, not gangbusters, but I'm very pleasantly surprised with, one, the interactions, because it's not like, you know, I haven't bought any numbers. It's people just genuinely like stumbling across it and they think it's cool. Yeah. And they take part in it. And you know? Yeah, I think it's great. It's like, it's you know, it's a community very specific to this one. It's this one community. Yeah. And these communities are connected to other ones as well. Sure. But it's your community, and I don't have good words to articulate what I'm trying to say, but I think you get what I'm, you know, like. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For sure. I feel I've been doing Twitch for a little bit, and I have a small gathering of people that, you know, it's really not a lot of people, but the people that do show up are regular, and they have become friends with each other through that, you know, and it's like a little hangout with people that I, you know, who live on the other sides or other parts of the world. And I mean, it's awesome. It's like people, and then there's like that idea of, well, you need to reach all these people, and is that the goal? The goal shouldn't always to be monetary success. That's right. That's a made up idea.
you know, like, which brings no fulfillment.
Yeah. I I like the idea of just finding as many like-minded people as possible. I want as many people that, you know, kind of jive with this whole thing to find out about it and to be included as possible.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It feels great. I always, when I do a stream or whatever, you know, there's like new in jokes from some people, few people hanging out online, and like it's just it's like hanging out. I mean, it's the same reason you hang out with friends. It is friends in a different form, digitally or friends at a show or whatever it is. It's like, it's, you know, you go to get a beer with your friends, or you go to hang out online, or you go to a show together. You know, it's all, I don't know. Now I'm really rambling.
No. You're good. That I try not to make these like the typical cliche interview, like, so tell me about the new album, or you know, what string gauge do you use?
Yeah.
And you know, these have always been pretty more nonchalant, laid back, kind of hanging sort of thing.
Those are,
I guess like, I'm sure, you know, for any of your Twitch streams, I'm sure same kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's more fun to do it that way. I would rather, you know, it's people, I think most people would rather see a hangout than like regimented, you know, Q&A.
It's I always kind of like telling this. I think I've probably shared this anecdote on here a couple times already, but whenever I got to meet Pat O'Brien from Cannibal Corpse, one of the, despite what the news may portray him as, one of the nicest dudes I think I've ever met.
Yeah, super humble guy.
Oh yeah, but we were just casually hanging out. I bought him a beer. He bought us some shots.
Yeah,
we talked about guns and hunting.
Oh.
Because I live in West Virginia, and and I guess he has like a hunting cabin or something around like Kentucky somewhere. And
I didn't know that.
Huh. And he was we were just talking about just normal everyday life kind of stuff. Didn't even talk about metal or guitar until like half an hour into hanging out.
Yeah.
And then there was like some very awkward guy that came up to him and was like acting all like real shy, and just, he was really, really cool with this guy and very patient with him. But it was one of those situations, like you can tell they're really killing the vibe because they don't know how to, they're putting this person on a pedestal, so they don't know how to talk to him. Yeah. And the guy's like, I got one of your picks. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. And he turns to me, hey man, you want one? And like, I don't know.
It can be tough to talk to people for sure I have plenty of my own experiences talking to people where I got real embarrassing because I was like, I don't know what to say to this guy, but I like him. What I really wanted to say was, I like your stuff and I don't know what to say to you, but I just want to let you know I like your stuff, and I'm hoping some conversation happens right now. But I don't know what to say to you because I don't know you. You know? You're going to be totally honest about it.
Yeah,
I was weird to Blackie from Voivod. I said I was like, oh, I like your music. You know, I didn't know what to say. He didn't notice somehow, so it was good. I was introduced to him by somebody else, and I said, I was like, I kind of froze up, but I thankfully he didn't notice, or he was just used to people being weird and whatever, you know.
Yeah, probably just a really, really nice, humble dude. Probably don't even care.
Yeah. It's really like, it's a compliment if somebody's nervous, because that means that they, they admire you, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I know that there are people who act weird about it, and in my opinion, you're a jerk if you get weird, if you think, if you're like, it's okay to be uncomfortable and not know how to handle it, you know? I don't know. I've definitely been weird with plenty of people that I admire, musicians, and I was probably weird with Cannibal Corpse guys at first. I think I was. When we first did shows with them, I think I hit it pretty well, but I definitely was like, are you going to play Puncture Wound Massacre? And they were like, no, we don't have that on set this time. And I was like, oh, and then I didn't know what to say after that. But then I got a little more comfortable. And actually, the first time I talked with George, we talked about video games for a long time before we talked about, I don't think we ever talked about metal. We talked about Final Fantasy. And, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Like, what an easygoing guy. Those guys are the sweetest guys.
For them in particular, they're all actually even bigger than what they look like when you meet them in person.
Oh, yeah. They're all huge guys.
Yeah, so that probably doesn't help a lot of that.
Yeah. Everyone is like 6'2" or taller.
Yeah. Like I'm about 6 even, and even I was like looking up at Pat and Rob walked by too, and I'm like, God, he's tall too.
They're all giants. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, George is just a beast. So the first time I got to meet anybody from any band that I was a big fan of was I was like 16, 17 maybe, and I got to meet Gene Hoagland.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you want to talk about being towered by somebody you're already intimidated to meet?
Yeah.
Like, I was just looking up at him as a nervous little kid. I could barely even talk, but he was super cool. Shook my hands. And
one of the coolest guys ever.
Like
that. He when I first met him, we did Sounds of the Underground, and Strapping Young Lad was on it, and I was very nervous to meet Devin and him, and Opeth was on it. I was nervous to meet them, and we were pretty young. It was like 2004 or 5. I was like 24, and I met Gene. I don't remember when I met him. I just said hello, and the next day he waved to me from across the parking lot, and he was like, "Hey, what's going on, Mike?" And I was like, Gene Hoagland just remembered my name and waved to me from across the parking lot. What a nice guy. Like, he could have, and then like the rest of he was just like, he's just a super sweet guy with no ego, who's like a legendary dude who's been in fucking death. Like probably the single most influential band on me if I had to pick one, and like, so, it's really nice when that happens too. And Devin the same way. Devin's is such a humble guy. And, he could be a total asshole and I'd be like, you don't meet your heroes, whatever. But he's not. So.
Right. I've been lucky there. I haven't actually got to meet anybody that was a total asshole to me directly.
Yeah.
I went to a couple shows where a singer didn't make themselves too liked on stage.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't really matter. No one's going to see this shit, I'm sure they won't see this anyway. And even if they do, whatever.
They were an asshole.
Yeah. Mikey Hoods from the band, from the band Hoods. There was a dog pile for, the mic grab and everything for some song, and he flipped out.
You didn't like that?
No. Oh. Which, it's hardcore. You like.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah. He like on the mic and like threatened the entire room, like,
wow,
like not to fucking do that again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
And like the whole room just kind of, it was just like a, what the fuck kind of moment.
They were probably like, we thought you wanted us to do that.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were bumming you out.
Yeah. So. That's the one I'll give. But other than that, I've just met overwhelmingly nice people, so I'm pretty thankful for that.
Yeah, I have only a short list of people who are jerks over the years, and it's nice that it's not too many people that that I was looking forward to meeting or whatever.
So there's a question in the chat box here. Which I actually meant to ask you this anyway. Does anyone still call you Gunface?
Periodically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generally not these days, but I mean, I'm not surprised if I don't flinch if someone calls me that. I don't think about it though. I've never introduced myself that way. I've never been like, I'm Gunface, you know, like, it was a nickname. I see the question is, the reason behind the name is, it was a nickname that the band gave to me when I joined the Red Chord, because there were two Mikes in the band, Mike, Justin, and me. And Justin was already in the band when I joined up, so I was the guy that got the nickname. And I happened to do a cable access show in my hometown at the time called Gunface. And it was just absurd. It was sort of sketch comedy. It was kind of Tim and Eric-ish. I guess, I mean, it was before Tim and Eric was like 99, but it was like that type of humor, just absurd weirdness with weird cuts of things and weird close-ups. And I played it for the Red Chord guys when I first joined up with them. And yeah, at some point someone called me that, and it just stuck. And from then on, I was that. So, yeah. And then years later, the website Gunface was available, and guy was like, you really should buy gunface.com while it's available. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. You know, and I never did. And I took forever to buy it. And then one day I was like, you know, I should look into that. I should buy it before it goes. And I log up, I type in the site, I log on to the internet, and it says, fuck you, Mike McKenzie. There's a bunch of flowers. It says, why don't you go buy procrastination.com? And it turns out guy had bought the domain because he was worried that somebody would buy it and I wouldn't be able to have it. So he bought it, and he wrote that for me to, and I texted him or something. I was like, I just saw your message. And he was like, you just saw it? I put that up like years ago. So he had bought it and been paying for it for years to make sure that I didn't lose out on it with that little message. So yeah, if you use the Wayback Machine, you know that website Wayback Machine? It lets you look at old sites. Use Wayback Machine and look up gunface.com at like 2000, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something like that.
Okay.
And you'll probably see the message. It's like flowers in big letters. Fuck you, Mike McKenzie. So yeah, he saved the site for me, and then now it's my actual site. Years and years later. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be surprised. My cousin and I, that, you know, we used to play guitar together, and we watched a lot of like the Metal Injection Red Chord interviews so many times. We were trying to figure out who fucked with people and like interview people harder, like you guys or Unearth.
Oh yeah.
Or yeah, I think it was pretty much between you two.
We definitely we had, especially when Greg and I were together, but also like we just didn't take anything seriously for a long time. There was even a show in Germany. So with Beyond the Sixth Seal, we were even more ridiculous. And we played a show in Germany where we were telling people to leave the venue because we were being so obnoxious. We were like, you should just leave. What are you doing? Why are you still watching our band? And people listened to us, and they started to leave. And we're like, oh, I think we were taking it a little far. We're telling people to leave the venue because we're just like, whatever. We don't care. We'll be huge assholes. We're just going to tank our own careers. We had a hard time. I think it was partially because we had a hard time taking ourselves seriously as musicians, I guess. We were very afraid of being, I mean, this isn't the reason we goofed around. We goofed around for lots of reasons, but we definitely were like, we didn't want to be those like rock star assholes. So we would just go the opposite direction super hard. Like, well, we'll tear ourselves down. Oh, you think my band's good? You're wrong. I suck. I'm an idiot. You know? So, and then it kind of just spilled into this bit that we just did all the time where when we would do an interview with those guys, they just sort of let us run wild. So we would, you know, and just say things that, I don't know, the most absurd things possible. That we definitely weren't, there was no plan. I think we accidentally promoted our band by making those videos when we were really just like, we're just not taking it seriously. And I don't want to talk about my band. I don't want to be an idiot on camera.
Well, I mean, I can definitely appreciate that, but oh God, it's definitely no, definitely not opposite of a rock star attitude. That's to say the least. Um, well, kind of backtracking a little bit to, I guess, about meeting your heroes and stuff like that. I actually wanted to show this real quick. So, whenever I graduated high school in like 2010.
Okay.
To date myself a little bit. So I started playing guitar 2000. I don't know. I was like 13 or 14. So
okay.
But so Red Chord and Despised Icon and Animosity. A lot of the bands I'm sure you probably toured with too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all very influential on me coming up. Especially like you and Eric. So actually, the first guitar I ever bought with my own money was
is that an EC1000?
This is actually just the 401.
Oh, okay.
But it's actually way less. There's way fewer differences between, because I was gonna buy 1000.
Yeah.
Because I saw you in a magazine with one, and I saw Eric with one.
Oh yeah.
Like the vintage black one specifically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really weird how few differences there are between the 401 and the 1000. Like the tuners and the bridge, that little things like that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Same wood, same pickups, and it still has Grover tuners. They're not locking tuners.
Right.
But but yeah, and it's kind of funny. I was actually a little nervous coming onto this, and I was even talking to that same cousin that we used to listen to Red Chord, watch interviews and shit together, and he's like, don't ask him about any bands, don't ask him about guitar, just ask him about being left-handed. Just kind of keeping up with that. See, it even like kind of shaped our humor for many years. Just that same silly, like not taking anything seriously and just taking humor to the weirdest turn.
Of course, yeah, the best turn.
Yeah. So, thank you for all those years of influence for me and everybody else on here.
Well, I'm honored that. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. The only thing I have to say about being left-handed is you don't get to play your friends' guitars when they get a new guitar. You don't get to play it. It sucks.
Yeah.
Everybody tries. Oh yeah, check out my new whatever. Everybody give it a pick it up. Oh wow, this feels great. And then I'm like, no, I guess I'm not going to play it.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, neck feels good in the wrong hand.
Yeah. I'm like, it looks nice. I'm sure it sounds great. I'll plug into your new amp when you get that.
Right, yeah. Or pedals.
They don't make lefty amps.
Yeah. Pedals are ambidextrous, so that's fine.
Yeah. Somebody should make lefty pedals, specific lefty pedals. They're just reversed for no reason, like the volume's on the right side for some reason. The master.
Just have a left-footed wah pedal.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's almost like an ergonomic mouse.
Yeah.
Or ergonomic keyboard where it's like kind of curved, so you literally have to use your left foot.
To use it. Or it could just say like left foot only on it, but be the exact same pedal.
Yeah. People just kind of scratch their heads.
You're using it wrong if you're using your right foot. So
yeah.
Jimi Hendrix had to play an upside down guitar, and you're using this wrong. So
yeah. Left-handed guitar picks.
The pick's left-handed. Yeah. You can't hold this in the right hand. It has to be in your left hand. Actually, Dan Spano, Edge of Sanity dude, and Panthymonium, Nightingale, million bands. I don't know if you're a fan of his. I am a big fan of his. Another guy who makes tons of records. He's a lefty, but he plays a right-handed guitar upside down, strung the normal way. He played in Bloodbath for a minute, and he played like that.
You know what's so funny about that? Somebody submitted a post for the page like today.
Yeah.
And his guitars are strung that way. Like he plays, he's left-handed, and plays a regular guitar, just
a righty strung.
Yeah, right-handed instrument strung normal.
I started that way when I was young, and I didn't have other guitars. But yeah. I imagine lots of people probably would stick with it, and that's how you're used to playing, I guess.
Yeah, why not? But did Dick Dale do that too, or did he string it?
I don't know.
I think he did. I think he did.
Did he? He didn't string it. I guess that kind of would make sense. He does a lot of low string speed picking.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he would put like the heavier strings,
on the bottom.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I guess back when he was around, there probably weren't a lot of lefty guitars.
Yeah, it's like so paving the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it must have been tough for them. These days you can find stuff, but I mean, even now, like it is sort of hard to find lefties. I play my custom most often because it's like the only nice guitar I've ever had. Most of my guitars are like, it's a lefty version of knockoff something else, Yeah. I mean, ESP made nice lefties, and then and my custom's an ESP. But yeah, if I've ever picked up a guitar in a store that was a lefty, it's like, this is a $4,000 guitar you can't have. You cannot afford this.
There are definite, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like jumps in prices for left-handed guitars. It's like they have really, really cheap ones because they don't want to put out a whole, like if it's mass produced.
Yeah.
Like really like lower end models.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to, I guess they just don't make as much money from left-handed models. I don't know. And then
I think they have to turn it. I've been told, I don't know, but I've been told a lot of producers have to reverse their equipment. Everything is I don't know. This is what I've been told by not luthiers, but like mass producers. I don't know. This could be totally wrong. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense because really you're just cutting a piece of wood and then you're wiring it a certain way. I guess you would have to be using a mass-produced like production line to have that be a problem. Maybe that was a problem for mass-produced stuff. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. That's that'd be interesting. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't either. I never built a guitar. I don't. But I imagine if you're building it by hand, of course, no problem.
Sure. Maybe they just have to, I don't know, take the picture almost like one of those cookie cutter type things. Like just like a big metal frame of a guitar, and they just pick it up.
And they just stamp it out. Like, we gotta flip it around. We gotta stamp it backwards.
Yeah.
It's the backward stamp. Shut it all down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was something somebody told me a long, long time ago before I knew anything. So as I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Why are they more expensive? Maybe they're more expensive because there are less players and they are trying to make up that lost, that margin or whatever.
I know I know Ola England mentioned in some video, since he started doing like Solar guitars and everything.
Oh yeah.
That because it took him a while to start putting out left-handed models, I believe. And when he did, he only offered one or two different models, maybe. I'm sure he has more now, but I mean, obviously nowhere near as many as he does right-handed.
Yeah.
And he even like kind of joked about it on one video. It's like people keep asking left-handed models, and then no one fucking buys any. It's like,
yeah.
So,
they're going to comment on it, but are they going to spend $1,000, $2,000? Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always disappointed when I'd find out like, this year they made these in lefty. This is my only choice, But so it's one of the reasons I've never really gotten that interested in guitars, because the choices have always been slimmer. So I just don't get excited about them because I don't want to be let down. You know, unless I build one. And I am looking at, I would like to do some more custom stuff down the line. So I am planning on building, I would like to build a guitar specifically for Stomach Earth, so that my ESP custom can be my Wear Your Wounds guitar.
Sure.
Slow stuff, you don't need to have a million guitars on tour. If I were out on tour, I don't need to worry about breaking strings.
Yeah. Would you, I've literally never seen you play anything other than single cut guitars. Are you just going to stick with that, or you wanting to branch out and get like some kind of warlock looking thing? Or
I really do like that body type.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would branch out too much. I think like,
oh, the single cut. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the warlock.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I mean, they are cool. Yeah. I would love to have one. I probably wouldn't play one live. I guess it would depend on how it would feel. I've never played a V. I don't think so. Maybe I played a lefty V somewhere for like 5 seconds, but I don't, I guess it would just depend on how it feels and how it sounds. It could be, if I'm building a guitar, though, I'm probably going to stick with a similar body type, just because it works for me. And I consider the guitar to be, a tool to perform certain needs, Yeah. So I want it to look cool, of course, and I want it to, but ultimately I want it to feel right. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion about that, really. I'd be open to a lot. I could play some silly looking thing if it sounded right and it felt right,
A big old Wang caster.
Yeah. Why not? If it's the right tool for the job, then yeah, I'll play it.
Are there any like small custom shops or luthiers that you've kind of been following that you would be interested in having them build you a custom?
I would like to get something from Wild Custom Guitars they're in France.
Yeah.
They're in South France, maybe. I forget where they are in France. They make some stuff for I think they made something for Kurt Ballou.
Yeah.
And they made some stuff for Baroness and a few other bands. And they make some really cool, weird guitars.
Yeah, stuff that's very reminiscent of like Gibson Firebird or Fender Wire, kind of like offset, like classic offset shapes, kind of.
Yeah, and I emailed them a while back, and I'll probably at some point get something from them down the line. Yeah, they make a lot of really beautiful instruments, and I haven't played one yet, but when I told them, I'm like, well, I'm a lefty, and they said, well, we would need to do custom because we don't actually make any lefty models currently. So, yeah, that's on the list at some point. I talked to them before the pandemic, and then everything happened, and I was planning on being out. We were playing a festival in France, and I was hoping to either maybe we could route that way, or I could maybe they come out. And obviously that didn't happen, and now I need to reconnect with them. But yeah, beautiful instruments. It would be cool to have one of those.
What kind of specs would you think would suit Stomach Earth specifically?
Well, when I built the custom that I have now, I built it with Red Chord in mind, but it did work for Stomach Earth because the body is really resonant. I mean, it is like a really, it's a really dense and heavy body. I think it's, I think it might be mahogany. I can't remember what we did. These days, now that I've had more time to think about it, I know one thing I would absolutely change is I would get an ebony fretboard instead of rosewood, because ebony just feels like silk. And it would be nice to. I think I'd build something similar to my custom now, which is it's like an Eclipse body type. I got rid of the tone knob. It's just 2 volume knobs and an 80. It's an EMG 81 and an 80 and a 60 in the neck. I don't know what I would do for pickups at this point. I would have to research it a little bit because I think my pickup needs for Stomach Earth would be quite a bit different from Red Chord, especially since I would like to play through like a JCM 800 and 5150, combo. Not a combo, but like those two together.
Yeah.
And what else would I do? Really nothing crazy. I'd love to be able to implement some kind of if we're talking of dream guitar, I'd love to be able to implement some kind of MIDI controls, like a MIDI pickup or something, so I could cue things. Stomach Earth, when we did shows in when we did Roadburn, we had a video backdrop, and I'd love to be able to cue stuff like that.
That would be really sick.
Yeah, like having the visual component really added a lot. And if I can control, I'd like to be able to control as much from the stage as I could. So that could be a thing. But that also would be a whole other, I don't know what that would entail. You could probably always just clip some kind of MIDI controller onto your guitar and not even have something built in, but
yeah,
I'm sure there are already devices where you can,
Oh yeah, there's I know Rollin has had theirs out forever, and then Fishman has the triple.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
yeah, that would be in the mix. I think something like that, and I don't know. I think
sounds like it'd be killer. Which would you try to go off of one of their existing shapes, or do you have something? Stick to the single cut.
What do they have? They have I'm going to look them up because I forget the name of the body type that I liked. I would probably want to do something. I'd probably want to do something like an original shape if they'd let me.
Mm-hmm.
But they have. Let's see. Let's go to their website.
The first thing that came up was a Billy Gibbons signature.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's cool. I'd probably do something like, let's see what they have. They got a Wild Original. I don't know. The Fire Wild. I think is the Fire Wild? No, that's like the Firebird. Is that the Firebird style? Hold on. Wild One. I think maybe the Wild One body type was the one I was interested in. It's got this, like, I don't know what to compare it to.
I'm pretty sure the Wild One, I'm pretty sure that's the same that Kurt got.
Yeah.
Or he got a version of it.
They got a picture of him on the front, and it looks like that, yeah. He's got a custom, yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd probably try to do a slightly different body style if they'd let me. But I don't know. I haven't thought about it in like over a year because we went into pandemic times and I stopped thinking about everything that is important to me. Wild Master is pretty cool as well. It's a similar body type. It's got a little zigzaggy kind of shape. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that little segment was riveting for everybody at home, but yeah, it's fun.
Clicking and talking about it. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. A little ways down the line for me, so I got time to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you try to get the same live band together for Stomach Earth?
Well, I did in Europe. It was just Greg and I, and we did it like Godflesh style. I was inspired particularly by Godflesh because I was like, Godflesh does it this way.
Yeah.
Then that's good enough for us. And I had tracks, drum machine, and like backing tracks, all the noise and weird stuff. And then I played the guitars. I had like an A-B, and then we just played two guys, bass and guitar. And I feel like it was a good amount of presence to be worth doing that way. I'd like to do it with my Frankenstack setup with the loop pedal and really like play all the parts and layer all the parts live. I did have a few lead guitar parts that were kind of trailing in the background, some like more ambient stuff. And I had to cut out certain parts, which I tried to make it feel a little different than the record and make it a little more natural. But I don't know. I really like the imagery of just two guys on stage, and it's really stark. Two guys with no drum set, to me, looks really, I don't know, it just looks ominous.
Yeah.
Obviously I love to see drums and drummers and people playing drums, but I don't know, it just felt more right for Stomach Earth for it to be a bleak and stark two guys on stage, cold mechanical sounding drum machine. The year before, or the Roadburn we did a couple years earlier, or a year earlier, that band Mysticum played, and they're German, I think, and they are drum machine black metal for those of you who don't know. And they, on record, they're cool. It's like, it's good. But live, they played in like one of the bigger rooms, and the curtains were drawn, and they were headlining one night. And I was thinking, all right, this is a industrial black metal band. Those curtains are going to open, and what we're going to see is going to be fine, and it'll be fun to watch. And I didn't have, those were my expectations. I'm like, I'm looking forward to this. This is fun. I can't wait to see the band, but we'll see. And the curtains opened, and they were on like 10-foot tall risers, three guys. And you should look pictures up of this, because three risers at 10 feet, one dude, that's it, just the three guys, and blasting black and white. Entire backdrop was a video of like intense imagery, and the only thing you saw was their silhouette as like lights blasted from behind them, and it was the most devastating experience, and their music is cool, but even if their music wasn't cool, it would still be like, whoa, look at this shit. These guys look like, like demigods standing on this like ridiculous, absurdly high risers, which I was also like, wow, you're up there headbanging, you better not fall. And also, what if you got to go tune or take a sip of water? They must have had steps behind them or something, but the showmanship of that was so impressive to me. I was just like, wow, they really put so much into this. It was really an amazing experience, and we had to leave before they were done. So I was so bummed I couldn't, but I would have watched every second of that set because it was just so powerful. And after leaving there, I was just like, the Wear Your Wounds guys were kind of laughing about it, because I was just like, I'm not there. I can't do that. So I got to stop everything I'm doing until I can do that. And I was just like very affected by that. I'm like, that was so powerful. I am just blowing it right now by not attempting to make that image happen, And it kind of made me realize that the pageantry of live heavy music is also important to me.
Sure.
And not to get on too big of a tangent here, but it is relatable or related. When I was in high school, I was in bands and stuff, and I had friends that were in drama club, and they had their crew or whatever, and I always, for years I thought, I'm jealous of my friends who don't hang out with our circle because they go hang out with their drama friends. I was always like, they're hanging out with their drama club friends, and they're going to drama club parties and whatever, we don't need them. And for years I was like, I was just jealous that they had new friends. that wasn't the case. I was jealous that they got to run around on the stage wearing costumes. Yeah. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted it. I mean, Bruce Dickinson runs around waving the flag and wearing the trooper uniform. And like, I was like, holy fuck. I didn't realize I wanted to wear a fucking costume. So, you know, not that I'm going to wear a costume, but that's basically my point. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to present that larger than life experience, which when you see a great show and you're like, holy fuck, that was great. You know, it's more than just playing the songs live, you know?
Oh, absolutely. When people ask me what my favorite, you know, show I've ever been to is, I'm like, well, do you want to know who put on the best show, or do you want to know just show I had fun at, or have to divide it up? Because I've gotten to see Tool live. I've seen Guar twice. I just saw them actually week before last.
Oh yeah, they're on tour now. Yeah,
and because I interviewed John with Napalm Death.
Oh, nice.
Super sweet guy, by the way. But yeah, Guar. I mean, if, you know, talking about pageantry.
Yeah,
you know,
they really do it.
But you know, you've been killed on stage by Guar.
I did get killed by them. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I absolutely, when you were first talking about all that, and you know, comparing Godflesh and the imagery of the two guys on stage, I immediately thought of two different acts that I've seen live. One of them was I get their name mixed up with the Maynard James Keenan project. Jucifer is the husband and wife.
Yeah,
group.
Yeah. Yep.
When I saw them,
they are devastating live.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like you literally can't see the back of the stage because of the wall of speakers and cab and everything behind them. Yeah. It's unreal. And they're just so loud. It is oppressive.
Yeah.
And then the other act was Author and Punisher.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got to see him open for Cattle Decap right before COVID hit and shut everything down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but just smile the entire time. Yeah. The entire time he was up. Like,
it's monstrous.
Yeah, and we were right there at the barricade, so I just got, you know, all that to hit me right in the chest.
Yeah. When he hits those parts where he's like pushes that throttle and it's like, that was so, it's like, he's so good live.
Yeah. If somebody could do like something incorporated with that, and then maybe guitars and some vocals and stuff like that, like just elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like just kind of do something a little bit more death metal or something a little heavier with that.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I would change anything about his act, but I think it'd be cool if somebody else took a note from him.
Yeah, I definitely We're Your Ones did some dates with him on the West Coast, and I was just like, I want to be in this band. I know it's a one-man thing, but I want to be in this. I want to play with all these weird things. Yeah, he's brilliant. That's there's nobody like that.
No.
He is absolutely the one man out there doing that, you know. And all of his gear is so crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's all like looks like, you know, robot death machines. You know, they're definitely, you're going to be killed by that.
You can tell the guy is definitely an engineer.
Oh yeah.
After actually getting to see everything.
Yeah.
He over engineers the shit out of everything, and like it all looks like it's meant to go out on the road too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everything is fixed to like welded steel, like table legs and stuff like that, you know, like
even like works on his van. He takes his van out. He's like,
oh really?
Oh yeah, he was like working on his Sprinter at one point. He was, oh yeah, I just need to do, you know, whatever. I don't know anything about cars.
Yeah.
And I know Sprinters are tough to work on. Apparently, there's not a lot of mechanics don't want to work at Sprinters, I guess.
Probably everything's like real crammed under the hood.
Yeah, I know there's like some weird, yeah, there's like weird, hard to get to things. But yeah, that dude, really, really, really brilliant guy, and I love his music and watching it live. Yeah, it's so awesome. I definitely wish that I could play in a band like that.
Oh, for sure. Him and Aphex Twin are two of the only guys I know of that
Yeah,
like will build all their own instruments. It's like, yeah, you can't really copy me now. I made my own thing.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna have to build one of these if you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll try to start wrapping this up a little bit here. Just moving forward as everything's starting to kind of open back up. I know you have your spreadsheet, and I know there's kind of rumblings and everything. What are you hoping for moving forward into this next year musically and even personally?
Well, I'd like to be able to. I really just want to be able to have more time to work on these projects and finish a lot of these. That's really my main goal, is to, I guess the end goal is to be in a place where I can continuously, release stuff, and just be focused on it as my, main thing. Right now I work a bunch of jobs and putting all this stuff together while I'm working and doing this and that. It would be nice to return to just focusing on this again. Obviously the logistics of being alive on Earth and staying alive make that hard. So I'm working towards trying to get the machine running again. I always feel like keeping the machine running when you get the keeping it running once it's going, it's a matter of putting out records and selling merch and playing shows and all that. But getting it started again, it's like you're starting that lawnmower, and it's like, I know once this thing is running, it'll be fine, but getting it going is tough. So it's a matter of just finding the time to finish a bunch of stuff, and I don't know. That's a kind of a meandering answer, but I got a lot of stuff going on. I'd like to simplify it down to just a few things going on, so I can just churn them out one after another, instead of having lots of plates in the air at the same time is kind of tricky. So I do a lot of freelance work and just trying to hone it, focus my efforts, I guess. So,
yeah, no, absolutely.
I'd like to be able to play some shows with some of these bands. I would like to play more Stomach Earth shows. Where Your Wounds, I know at some point we will. Umber Vitae, we're supposed to. So, just matter of time. Right now my schedule is just nuts until the end of the year. And then January is quiet again, like it is for most people. I can wrap up a few of these in the order that they deserve to be. Beyond the Six Seals been waiting around a while. I have this project Dualitas that I wrote in 2014 that just needs to, I just need to finish mixing it. But I keep waffling on it. I keep being like, well, maybe it should sound like this, or maybe it should sound like that. I just need to let it go. There it is, done.
Do you? Sorry to side note. Is Nightkin still a thing?
Nightkin didn't stop being a band. We just we've just been doing other stuff. So we did have some demo stuff after the last EP. And actually I started to record vocals for some stuff and then I got sidetracked with something else. But Nightkin is still, we haven't played together in a while. But we never had we're not doing this conversation, or it was just I'd like to think that we'll make another record in the next few years, whenever it makes sense for everybody. That band has, 5 guys all doing different things. One of our guys had a kid, and everybody's
do it.
different. Yeah, kids obviously make it tricky, but you know, I'm in a band with I'm in a few bands with dads, and they make it work. So I, as a non-dad, I'm just like, I'll be around when you're ready to do stuff. We'll do stuff when you can do it. So
Awesome. You've got so many different fan bases for your different projects. I'm sure everybody's just kind of champing at the bit for each one of them. It's kind of hard to focus in on any particular one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to make a lot of stuff, and it's cool that people like some of those things. So,
other than people nostalgically going on about Red Chord, a lot of people going on about Sixth Seal too.
Oh yeah, that's fun. The new Sixth Seal, that's not as new now, but will be new when it comes out, is a little bit back to our earlier sound. It's a little bit less, like the last one was very like death and roll sounding. This one is much more dissection sounding. I guess it's kind of like a little bit dissection-y with like some crowbar-y kind of parts. It's more like it's more black death metal than the last one, which was, I don't know what to call the last one. Death and roll, like, you know, whatever. It's got rock riffs, death metal vocals, but yeah, this one's more, it's got some like black metal-y parts. It's got some thrashy stuff. It's lots of icy guitar harmonies. Sounds pretty Swedish, I think. So, you know, American guys doing Swedish black death metal, whatever that is.
More common these days than you think.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is also funny coincidence because I've been on a big, you know, dissection kick lately too. So I can't wait to hear that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm kind of always on a dissection kick, and it's very, there's a couple songs that are very dissection influenced. You'll probably go, oh yeah, that's very dissection, and other stuff not so much. There's some weirder stuff. Who knows? Maybe nobody will agree with me. They'll go, I don't think it sounds like that. Who knows? I don't know. But
I can relate to that. I've written stuff thinking, you know, being influenced or listening to a specific band an awful lot. And I feel like I'm writing in a similar vein.
Yeah.
And then when I play for somebody else, they'll say, oh, that's cool. It kind of reminds you of somebody completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, in your head, you're like, oh, this feels very much like them. And then you don't even realize that your style is changing it completely.
Yeah.
Like, which is great. You know, like I do that all the time where I'm like trying to write a song like that sounds like someone. And then someone says, oh, I don't agree at all. You know, I wasn't trying stuff I wrote for Weary Wounds. I wrote some stuff, and hearing them react to it was funny because there was one track where like a newer demo where somebody said, it sounds like sad Van Halen, or this sounds like Chuck Schuldiner Serenade. And I'm like, wow. And they always tell me that my playing reminds them of Chuck's playing. And I don't hear that in my, you know, but Adam will always be like, whoa, that's so Chuck. And I'm like, well, that's good. I'm glad you think that. I don't think so, but.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really cool though.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize it until after he started saying that. I was like, yeah, I guess Death really did have a lot to do with my playing personally. Their entire discography, you know, like all of it. But
yeah.
Thanks for the kind words, Colton. I just saw that messages.
Oh. Yeah. It is always cool to it's at least interesting to get other people's input on, you know, your playing, your music, whatever.
Yeah.
Not just for fun, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to change the trajectory of what you do or anything, but
it's fun to hear other people's perspective.
Yeah.
From because you only see it from your own, so, and you're like, oh wow, I had no idea, you know.
It's kind of like, you know, I've had friends that are into painting and stuff, and you know, a lot of times that stuff can be kind of interpreted different ways, you know, depending on how abstract I guess it is.
Yeah.
Or sometimes like poetry or song lyrics, and yeah, it can mean completely different things to different people.
Totally. Yeah.
That's kind of what makes it all so fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, man, I know I've kept you on here a while, so we'll try to wrap this up with the way I always wrap these up, and we'll just do a top 4 death metal bands or albums, whatever's easier for you.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I was just talking about. Let's see. My top 4. I could probably do top 4 death metal bands. No, I could probably do albums. It's hard to. Yeah, I'm gonna do albums because nobody is super consistent. So I'm gonna say, Suffocation, Pierce from Within is in my top. It's always in my top 3. The most brutal record, in my opinion. Cryptopsy, None So Vile is always in my top 3. You know, I don't think it's my favorite. I'm not sure if it's my favorite Deicide record, but Once Upon the Cross I listened to probably more than any death metal record. I think I listen to that record. I listen to that record all the time, just almost every day on some weeks. So I'm going to put that up there for now. This is my right now top 4.
That's
fine. Because it's going to change tomorrow, you know.
Sure.
And let's see. The final one, I'm going to say Death, Individual Thought Patterns, because it's just wonderful. It's a classic. Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Absolutely, man. I'd have to agree with that too. And in reference to Deicide specifically, it's always a toss-up for me between Once Upon the Cross and Scars of the Crucifix.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know. It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I appreciate you so much coming on here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's been a great conversation.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad it's not just the typical boring interview.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
Hell yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to do this again sometime whenever maybe a new album or something. One of those 11 new albums drops.
Yeah. I'll get right on one of them so that we can talk about it. I'll try to finish something. I'll finish something. I don't know what it's going to be. I'll finish something.
All right. Killer, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, dude.
Thank you. You too.
All right. See you, everybody.
Take it easy.